too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And editing.
Huh.
So, hey, everybody. We're back for another pause debrief on this lovely Wednesday. We've just got a couple of pauses left for the year. And so we thought, gee, for this debrief, why don't we actually try to do something different? And by different, I mean visual. So something that Mary and Brian and I do a lot with our clients, both individual and team, is get some of this stuff on paper. I know a lot of us coming out of the pandemic are quite familiar with all the tools. Miro, Mural, you probably have your favorite. That's great. Today we're going to be using Mural to get some visualization. So my screen's going to pull up here in a second. I'm going to explain the activity and then we're going to do it. So in keeping with our cool breaths, warm fingers, we're going to dig in with a thermometer. Basically, we're just kind of name some things that happened in that 2-ish minutes that really we thought, hey, let's do that again. Let's repeat it. Let's make sure we try it because that is fire, as the kids say. Things that didn't go so well, we're going to put down there. Maybe they go in the freezer, get some freezer burn, and get tossed out a year from now. But this is just a fun way that teams can kind of visualize what they're thinking. Gives everybody an opportunity to have their opinions heard in a space of non-judgment. And that's the biggest thing. I'm going to ask in a minute if Mary and Brian are here ready to go and want to do this with me. Their feedback might not be great, but I trust them to have my best interest in heart. And I think that all teams can get to the point like that. Takes a little work, but it sure is fun when you get there. So Mary and Brian, you here and you're ready?
Ready,
yeah.
Okay. So I am going to set a timer for 1 minute. Reflect back on the pause and start typing in the sticky notes. Don't forget, if you need more, that's fine. If you run out of space, we'll figure something out. Ready? Go. $20 more seconds. Ooh, that's time. So we actually have quite a few up there from just 60 seconds of talking. So what were some of the things that came up? I'm going to zoom my screen in so everybody watching on YouTube can see a little bit better.
Yeah, great.
The first one on the board was mine. Short. I loved that it was short. So repeatable, so easy. I would say that's something we should keep in a lot of them going forward.
Yeah, it was short, and it was also just felt kind of easy to do. I want to add to that. You know, we have our breath, and we created a cool, no pun intended, exercise for us to work with our breath and the temperature of our breath. Not often you get the chance to do that.
Well, and we're breathing all the time. So on the way to something, at a traffic light, walking through a doorway, like I feel this is something, it is so short and easy to do. You're breathing anyways, so it's not going to look all that strange. Whether or not I use my hands, but still that realization of bringing in the cold air, letting out the warm air. There's not a lot for people around me to notice and wonder about while I'm still taking my pause. I like that.
Yeah.
So it's non-invasive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, normally if I'm walking outside and it's a little chilly and I don't have gloves and I just need to keep my hands a little warmer, it's either in the pockets or I might bring my hands up to my mouth and, just blow and rub into them. And it was interesting to take that and just bring it into space where it's not cold per se, but it's, it's just a different way, a different context, different way of doing
Sure.
something we're already familiar with. And so that had me thinking differently about my next meeting or what I need to maybe get prepared for.
Yeah. And maybe it's an opportunity, just a couple minutes before your next meeting.
Yeah.
Get that balance back.
Yeah, now I'm wanting to do now I feel myself wanting to do a little bit more, just to kind of give more warmth.
I think temperature is such a good thing though too. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Well, I was noticing that first breath and that moment of quiet, and I was surprised how impactful that first breath was. How immediately it just sort of went to ground, just grounding, just went to relaxation with that first breath.
Sure. Yeah. It's interesting. You'd mentioned you can do this and nobody's really going to notice you're doing it. You got that grounding out of that first breath. As we come into the holidays, and I know some of us just survived had to survive for who knows what with family or friends. And then we've got other holidays coming up. We've got Christmas, Hanukkah. There's a lot of stress going on. These are small little things that can really help you feel like you have some control. Mm-hmm. Like, well, there's a lot of chaos. There's just a lot going on. Mm-hmm. At least I can control how I feel inside with a simple exercise.
Yeah, I'm wondering with a little bit of that, getting back to your breath and control, and in this case, it was using temperature, how that would affect or, I don't know, make us think, how does that make us think differently about upcoming holidays and stuff that's not in our control?
But I'm noticing in my mouth where I felt the cool when we were breathing, like I'm really focused on it, even in speaking, that part of my tongue, that part of my mouth. I'm sort of continuing to notice what's, even formation of words. Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
To be honest, I have the song by Foreigner now stuck in my head. Sorry.
What were some of these middle ones here? I'm just curious about what's in the yellow.
I'm the one who put that about, do we want to do a little bit more of an intro for the pause? But I'm not married to the idea because we also liked that it was short and easy to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the one that put and a little more intro is something that we can experiment with. I'm the one to put okay, that exercise made me think of all the things that I'm not doing right now that I need to do. And of course, a lot of the judging and the inner critic came up in that first couple breaths.
That takes us back to our other pause, right? Write it down.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are valid. They're important. They're necessary. It's good to have your to-do list, but it's also good to get that control back.
Well, and I was curious, the sense of balance. So with that inner critic going, and in the intro, you talked about how we use this for to help in balancing. Is more explanation needed?
That is what I was thinking.
Ooh.
I'm not really sure though, because on breathing, where we're just getting in touch with our bodies, noticing hot and cold, polar opposites. Mm-hmm. Who knows what anybody took away from that?
Mm.
I mean, my notice was probably different than yours, right? Like, what did you notice while you were doing it?
Yeah. And what was the balance? So for me, the balance was between sort of the rush of getting things done, and then the moment to focus on my breath. So that, that sort of rush and quiet was the balance that I was playing with as I was breathing.
I'm going to have to do the exercise again, because I mean, my balance was between focused and unfocused naturally. So you know what I'll be doing after this, but there's some opportunity, I think. And I put this down in the light blue, maybe for us to all get to try one time a little bit of speaking, so we all at least get a couple of breaths. Though that would require a little bit more sound mixing.
Something to work on technically. But we could try it. We could definitely try it. Yeah. Yeah, especially in those pauses where you're trying to lead and there's a lot of breath involved. Yeah.
I wonder what the actual ideal number of breaths in one of these activities is.
Oh.
This is when we need a Jamie. So Joe Rogan, if you're listening, fund us a Jamie, please.
Well, what I like about this, and those that are watching and still watching, is it gives you a little bit of a peek inside how we operate as a leadership team in terms of bringing up ideas, giving a little bit of a pause to let those ideas sort of have some air, and see the support that we lend each other, that all voices are valid.
Absolutely. So I noticed in the icebox to be freezer burned was speed up. Any ideas? I did not put that one, so I would love to hear thoughts.
Well, that was what my balance was. I was going between, I gotta slow down my thoughts and I gotta speed up my breath to catch up with the instructions. And so I was working with both.
So that's the other thing that I was thinking about. Not only how many breaths are ideal, but how long should they be? Because you guys know, like, I do the pauses with you. They're not my favorite thing to do.
Right.
I can get, I get refocused in different ways, and that's okay. Like, we're not saying this is for everybody. But I have no idea, like, what's the appropriate breath length for the average adult? Like, I don't know.
Well, and there's a balance there too, because I was feeling trying to take a very slow breath in and a slow breath out, and then realizing that my normal pace of breathing was more in line with your instruction. So after like the third breath, at the fourth breath, I was like, I'm just going to breathe normally. So when you said breathe, I just started breathing at my normal pace with the same noticing, with the same pursed lips, cool air in, warm air out. just to, and experienced it that way. So it was a different, it just shifting gears, and not, I took my focus off of trying to control my breath and put my focus on just breathing at my normal pace and noticing the cool and the warmth.
I like it.
I'm sure there's something. I know, so my watch, we all have the health apps on our watch, and it all gives us our number of breaths per minute. I'm sure there's some average. I'm sure we could even go ask AI to, scroll, troll the internet and find us several reports of average breath length.
Oh, I wonder if mine. Now I'm curious if mine. No, it's just check. I didn't even know what the blood oxygen app on here does. If anybody knows, comment. Oh gosh, my beats per minute were really high though as we were doing the pause, which is so funny because I bet you guys would have much lower. So before we even decided to record, I was at 69 beats per minute, and during the pause, I was at 91. I think opposite effect, but that could also be a consequence of being the one who's leading, right? Making sure that we hit all the steps, the timing's right. I'd be curious if anybody did try the pause, like, again, comment or send us something on LinkedIn and tell me if your heart rate went up or down. That could be some cool info. Maybe some quantitative data. So what are some things that we want to try? Do we have 2 or 3 on here that we want to make sure to do next week?
So I think play around with some technology to get to that single voice. I'm not sure if next week we'll have it, but we might be able to have a piece of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. I was practicing a little bit to really get good at what our singular voice is.
Yeah.
That might be really helpful for others too, particularly if you're working in a team, coming up with a singular team voice.
I agree.
Or even if you can get your team breathing at a consistent, synchronous rate.
I think we could try a little bit more intro on next week's.
Yeah.
So just see what happens.
Yep.
If it resonates, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Is it okay if we leave the star here just so it's something that we actually know?
Yeah. I think 3 is a good number.
I think so too. I feel like this is the right amount of effort to get done in a week, given everything else that's on our plates, to try out for a next pause.
Yep.
Cool.
And look at that. We just hit the 20-minute mark.
Hey. Well, 20-minute-ish.
Ish. Yeah, ish.
Well, hey, guys, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for you facilitating it as well.
Well, lightweight facilitating.
Yeah.
But
you did great.
But it's hopefully somebody will see it and go, oh man, this is easy. You didn't have to do a breathing thing where you breathe and feel temperatures. You can totally just use this on how did we feel as a team this week? Where were we on fire and where have we iced each other out? Skills like this, super helpful. Doesn't matter what level of a company, doesn't matter if it's 5 people, 3 people, an ultra small business, a business of 5,000, 25,000, doesn't matter. We've done them everywhere. Lots of cool stuff out there. I'll put in a plug for fun retrospectives and tasty cupcakes. They're pretty funny. Tasty spelled weird. Don't do the other one. But they've got some really cool info if you're looking to run some kind of exercise like that.
Yep.
So Debrief
Thank-
out.